Your baby's tears aren't always because they're hungry or tired or in pain. A lot of the time, they're reacting to small, everyday things that we do, things that seem completely harmless but babies genuinely dislike or even hate. Like this first one, which is simply picking them up. Now, usually we pick them up by placing one hand behind their head, another hand behind their bottom, and then we scoop them straight up into our chest. And the moment we do, they jump. Their arms fly out to the side and they might even burst into tears. Now, if your little one's under 6 months of age, that's their startle reflex kicking in. And it's basically an inbuilt alarm system that's set off by sudden changes like a loud noise, a feeling of falling, or a movement that wasn't expected. Their body reacts before their brain even knows what's happening. So while you might be just reaching down to pick them up for a cuddle, their nervous system thinks something's gone wrong and reacts. And when you think about it from their side, it makes sense. If you were lying on the couch scrolling through your phone and suddenly a giant pair of hands grabbed you and lifted you into the sky, you'd jump too. You'd probably be terrified. And that's what this can feel like to your little one. Now, to avoid activating your little one's startle reflex or just startling them in general, you just need to make 2 small changes. First, let your baby know that you're coming, so position yourself where they can actually see your face before you reach for them. Then, instead of lifting them straight up off their back into your chest, place a hand on either side of their body and then slowly roll them onto their side. When you do this, their head riding reflex kicks in and they try to lift their head. And their trunk and back muscles also get turned on and they work with you as you bring them up into your arms. So instead of just being lifted, they're actively helping. And it's this small change that makes the whole thing feel predictable to them instead of startling, which means far fewer tears. But let's say the tears have already started and your baby is crying in your arms. Naturally, to try and soothe them, you start moving. Maybe you sway side to side or hold them to your chest as you spin around the kitchen. And as their crying gets louder, you start moving faster and those movements get bigger because you hope that that'll help calm them down. But something you might not realize is that those fast, unpredictable movements, the exact thing you're doing to try and soothe them, are often what keeps the tears coming. And that's because in regards to sensory input, quick, unpredictable movement is alerting. It actually wakes your baby's brain up instead of calming it down. So when they're already upset, that fast movement just adds fuel to the fire. But when you slow that movement right down and make it rhythmic, it does the exact opposite. It switches from alerting to calming. Now, there's actually a really interesting study on this where researchers monitored crying babies while their mums either sat holding them or stood up and walked around while carrying them. And what they found was incredible. The moment the mums stood up and started walking around, the babies stopped crying and their heart rates dropped within about 30 seconds. This just shows you how powerful slow, steady movement is for a baby's nervous system. So the next time your little one is upset, instead of speeding up your movements, focus on slowing them right down. Keep your motion slow, steady, and repetitive. For example, you might do slow lunges around the kitchen, which is exactly what I did with my firstborn. Or for something a little less physically demanding, you might just bend your knees and gently bounce them while you're holding them in your arms, or just walk slowly around the room. It really doesn't matter which one you choose. What matters is that it's slow and predictable, as that rhythm helps their nervous system settle, brings their heart rate down, and ultimately helps to stop those tears. Now, once your baby is calm again, naturally you'll want to start playing with them. And something you'll likely notice while you're playing with them is they suddenly turn their head away from you and stare at the wall or off in the opposite direction. But because you want to keep playing with them, you might follow them. So you might get back in their line of sight, wave a toy in their face, or make funny noises again. And when they turn away again, you might follow them to the other side to keep it going. But here's the thing. Playing with you is hard work for your baby. Your face, your voice, the toys, the sounds, it's a massive amount of sensory information for their brain to process. And because they can't say, hey, I need a break, they do the only thing they can do, which is look away. It's their way of taking a quick sensory break. So when we chase their gaze, we actually stop them from getting that break, and they naturally escalate. They go from looking away to fussing to full-blown crying, because at that point, it's the only tool they have left to tell you that they're overwhelmed. Now, luckily, the fix for this one is easy. Do nothing. When your baby looks away, let them. Stay close, go quiet and still, and just watch what happens. If they want to keep playing, they'll turn back to you when they're ready. But if they keep looking away, turning back briefly, then looking away again, that's your baby telling you that they need a proper break. And that's okay, because we all need a break every now and then. Now, turning away isn't the only behavior we tend to interrupt. There's another one, something your baby does constantly that most of us stop without a second thought, and that is putting everything in their mouth, whether it's the toy, the blanket, their fingers, even your fingers. The moment we see them do it, we step in. We pull the toy away or try to fish out whatever it is in their mouth with our fingers. And almost instantly, what they do in response is turn their head away, clamp their jaws shut, and start crying. Now, most of us stop our little ones from mouthing for two reasons. We're worried about germs, or we want to prevent a bad habit like thumb sucking from forming. But mouthing isn't a bad habit, it's how they explore. At this age, they can't control their hands well enough to investigate objects, but they can control their lips and tongue. In fact, their mouth is packed with far more nerve endings than their fingertips, making it the single best tool they have for learning. So when your baby puts something in their mouth, they're not just chewing on it, they're studying it. They're learning whether it's hard or soft, smooth or bumpy, warm or cold. All information that their hands just can't give them yet. And those worries we have about mouthing are usually far less of an issue than we think, as mouthing itself naturally fades by around 12 months of age as their hand skills improve. And if they do end up becoming a thumb sucker, even that usually stops on its own between 2 and 4 years of age without doing any lasting harm. And as for germs, well, a bit of mouthing actually helps to build a healthy immune system by helping their body learn what's a threat and what isn't. So unless it's an actual safety hazard, let them mouth it. And for those times when they're mouthing something that you genuinely need back, like your keys, resist the urge to dig in with your fingers. Instead, just hold something else up that they're allowed to mouth. And what should happen most of the time is they'll drop whatever it is they've got in their mouth and take that one instead. Now, this next one happens during meal times. Your baby takes a bite, a bit of food ends up on their chin, and straight away you wipe it off. Then they take another mouthful, and you're right back in there with the wipe or using the edge of a spoon to scrape their chin clean. And you do this between every single bite. Now, I want you to imagine that you're sitting down eating dinner, and between every single mouthful, I reach over and scrape your chin with the metal spoon or wipe your face. I'm willing to bet by the third bite, you'd be doing everything you can to dodge my hand or even bat it away, and you'd be getting more and more frustrated. You might even give up and stop eating altogether, and it's the exact same for your baby. Having their face wiped between every single mouthful feels just as irritating. Now, I get it. It can be really uncomfortable watching your baby get covered in food, but mealtimes are meant to be messy. Your baby's meant to touch the food and squish it in their hands, put it in their mouth, spit it back out, and then try it all over again. That's how they figure out about textures, learn about how to move food around in their mouth, and ultimately learn to swallow safely. So although it is messy, that mess is a necessary part of learning. It's what helps your little one build a healthy, confident relationship with food. So the next time your little one is eating, let them explore and get messy, and save that face wiping for the very end of the meal. And when it is time to clean them, skip scraping their chin with the spoon, as that sensation can be really irritating for a baby. Instead, use a warm face washer and wipe across their mouth and chin using firm pressure rather than lightly dabbing their face clean, as that firm pressure actually calms their sensory system and makes the end of meal cleanup so much easier for the both of you. And if the mess really bothers you, pop them in a baby smock or a bib and throw a splash mat under the high chair. Now, if you're wondering what gear actually makes mealtimes easier, I've put together a free mealtime essentials guide that walks you through everything you need, the right spoon, cups, plates, and smocks for each stage, and my top pick for everyone. The link to that's in the description below if you want to grab a copy. Now, there's another habit that causes even more tears than face wiping, and that's brushing their teeth. The moment that first tooth pops through, we know we're meant to be looking after it. So we grab a toothbrush, and then when they turn their head away and clamp their mouth shut, our instinct is to hold them still, pry their mouth open, and scrub as fast as we can before they can escape. But think about what that experience feels like from their side. Their mouth, which is the most sensitive part of their whole body, suddenly has hard plastic and stiff bristles scrubbing around inside. And if there's strong minty toothpaste involved, that can genuinely feel like their mouth is on fire. And on top of all of that, they're being held down, which is a really frightening position to be in. So naturally, they start fighting toothbrushing because to them, the whole experience is terrifying. And the tricky part is, the more often this happens, the more they start to associate the toothbrush with that fear. Now, unfortunately, we do have to clean their teeth. So we do want to make it a much calmer experience for everyone involved. And the best way to do that is by making a few small changes. First, ditch the strong flavors. So use plain water or an unflavored or milky flavored baby toothpaste, and check with your dentist or doctor regarding fluoride recommendations for their age. Second, swap the scrubbing for something gentler. So you might want to start with a soft silicone finger brush or even a damp cloth that's wrapped around your finger, which you wipe gently over their teeth and gum. And third, give them a toothbrush of their own to hold and chew on while you do a quick sweep with yours. Chewing on their toothbrush is actually them cleaning their own teeth in a way. It also gives them back a sense of control and helps them get used to the feel of a toothbrush in a low pressured way so it isn't so scary. You also want to lower the bar. At this age, 10 calm seconds of brushing their teeth is worth far more than 2 minutes of screaming. And as they get more comfortable with the sensation, you can just gradually build up the amount of time you're brushing their teeth for. Now, there's one more thing that you might think that your baby secretly hates because they fight it so hard every single day, and that's sleep. But your baby doesn't actually hate sleep. The real issue is their brain has a built-in sleep switch, and right now it's stuck in the off position without you even realizing it. In this video right here, I walk you through the 5 specific settings that flip that switch to on so that your baby can fall asleep easily without you having to leave them to cry. So make sure you click here to watch that one next.